PRI.
Now the mist across the window hides our light, but nothing hides the color of the lights that shine. Electricity so fine, look at dry your eyes.
That was Chris Thomas, and this is Beyond the Bold. Today we hung out with a couple veteran local musicians, Aaron Thomas from the band Be Easy, Chris Thomas of the Chris Thomas Band, and Niko Costas from Real Time Entertainment and Management. If you've ever wondered if it's possible to actually make a living with your art, then listen up. These three have been bumping the doors off local and international venues full-time for years, and they give you a taste of what it's like to live creatively. We hit everything from their musical and professional evolutions, balancing family life in the entertainment industry, local venues, local bands, and answer the question, do professional singers ever forget the lyrics on stage? Now, imagine you're on stage at a bar on the beach. All eyes on you and you've got the crowd locked in. You count off the beat and the band takes off. Kick drum slamming, bass shaking the drinks on the bar. Everyone compelled to move by the music gets up and starts dancing and... Could everyone please be seated? We're operating under a strict no dancing issue for tonight's show. Once again, that's no dancing at tonight's show. Thank you. Randy kicks things off by asking the inescapable question of our day. How are you dealing with the unprecedented state of live events during this pandemic?
First and foremost, we have Aaron Thomas here from the band Be Easy. Hey.
Good morning.
Thank everyone. A lot of people are going to know who you are. Obviously, Chris Thomas from the Chris Thomas Band.
Good morning.
Hey. And Niko Costas from Real Time Management, which...
hey there.
Hey. So what y'all are is y'all are tied to the whole sort of entertainment industry. And so what I wanted to do is sort of have a conversation with y'all. I want to talk about everything when it comes to, how you got into the business and how we are, but I'm going to actually jump right into, so I'll probably start where we are now, and then I'm going to work my way backwards.
Sure.
Because there's no way that this is not massively impacted y'all.
Right.
So I guess I'm going to go one at a time, and I guess I'm going to start with you,
All
Niko,
right.
which is now. Let's first of all explain your role. You're a drummer too. I don't know if you still perform drums and all, but you like are a talent management sort of agency.
So
tell me about you. Let's hear about you.
So I started out as a drummer and played in bands. Started drumming when I was 6 years old and did that for most of my life and still do. Don't perform out quite as much, but have shifted more. Focusing our role as an artist manager. So we manage a couple bands as well as a talent buyer. So we buy music for corporations, for festivals, for bars and restaurants. So we kind of handle the buying and selling of music.
So just about everything that doesn't exist right now is
exactly.
what you do.
Spot on. Well, we do have some weddings, thankfully.
So going back to March and with what you were doing, when did you finally realize, oh my God, this is going to be bad?
Aaron and I can relate to this exact day, but it was TPC week here in Jacksonville, big week for music for, everybody, I'm sure, in the event industry in Jacksonville. We had done, I think, our first 3 nights of shows, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We got the call, from some of our clients, I think Thursday morning for the Friday, Saturday events that were like, hey, I think the TPC is getting canceled. And then Aaron and I called each other. We're like, I think this is the end. Yeah. So that was when it really just, everything almost overnight just shifted.
I can't believe it. I mean, it's still just even when you started first hearing about that, it's like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. But now, before that, you were thinking at the first part of March, you weren't even thinking.
Oh, no. I mean,
I wasn't.
we had just gotten back from an international trip to Turks and Caicos in late February. We had another international trip planned in April for like a European tour. And I mean, it was looking like the best year of, you know, of the career, you know, yet, but that quickly diverted.
So talent buy, but so what do you spend most of your, prior to COVID, what were you spending most of your time actually doing on a day-to-day basis?
My day-to-day was primarily like festival buying. We were doing probably 2 festivals a month between Florida, California, and other events like in the New York area. So my day-to-day was primarily spent like dealing with agents, procuring talent for their festivals, going through contracts. And then Chris, who works with me, was doing a lot of the day-to-day work with Aaron and keeping up with both of the bands.
So aside from the bands that you, I guess, represent, you would also deal with other
Correct.
bands.
So the easiest way that I try to explain it with people is almost like a real estate agent. So you've got your buying agent and your selling agent, and we play both roles in the music industry. So we're selling agents for the band Be Easy and for Honeyhounds, and then we're buying agents for our, you know, corporate clients, for weddings, for anybody else, and that's how we help, you know, get talent from other agencies from all over the world.
Now, I guess, you know, I'm going to pause that. I'm going to come back. Well, I'm going to go ahead and continue. Here we go. I'm going to stay with you for a second. So now TPC's canceled. So clearly the festivals are gone.
Oh yeah, quickly after that.
The bars are closing. What have you been doing?
You know, like for the first few weeks, it was a lot of canceling, rescheduling, you know, trying to figure out if there was any, you know, end in sight. But quickly saw that probably wasn't going to be the case. So took up some new hobbies, you know, it was just getting gardening, house projects, and then, you know, just looking at what was going to still be feasible for us within the entertainment industry. So, you know, we started a podcast just educating people on music business. That was something that, you know, I was always passionate about and wanted to just had the time and wanted to share the information with people locally and, you know, whoever else was tuning in. As well as just looking at opportunities for, you know, next year. And a lot of the band Be Easy's business is, you know, we get lead time of a year, 18 months for a lot of events. So we're still looking ahead at, you know, weddings and corporate events that were happening hopefully in 2021.
Which we're doing the same thing at PRI Productions, but the problem is we got to eat now. How are you eating? How are you getting the money to eat?
We were, you know, thankfully enough, the last few years have been really good for the band and for the business. So we've, you know, I personally saw something coming. I didn't know what it was going to be. Obviously, no one saw this scenario, but you know, we had done our part to save and make sure that we were set up for anything that would, you know, a downturn. So we're just kind of waiting our time to get back to work.
Much smarter than me.
Hey, you know, we don't.
I didn't see for 26 years when I've been in business, I never could, you know. And again, as soon as it all happened, I thought this is when everybody's coming up to me and said, "You really should have prepared." And I'm like, for the pandemic, you're right. I really should have, but I didn't. So this was beyond devastating to me. And so, I mean, I think, you know, hats off to y'all that you've had enough sort of to keep you going. In my situation, it was just panic mode for a few days.
It was definitely panic.
Maybe a few weeks. So tell me about.
Well, I was going to add to that. You know, a lot of the guys in our group, they, you know, the churches, they were still open, you know, so they were doing a lot of like live stream stuff and still getting income from that. And, you know, for the most part, we had to keep busy and doing production and things at our home, you know, working from home and sending music out and working on other people's music for them. And that kind of thing helped out a little bit.
I'm sorry, when you were talking about the church, so you were performing in?
No, actually, and I wasn't, no. But some of my guys that were playing, for live streams too. For church, you know,
so what did you
shows
do?
And stuff I did a lot of studio stuff the first couple weeks. I mean, we didn't. The last show we had was March 11th, right before TPC, like totally shut down. Yeah. And Niko and I kept going back and forth, like, yo, this really might happen. They might shut down the whole freaking world. Like, this is crazy. And no one was really expecting it to be this bad, you know. So we prepped, right, as best as we could, but no one really knew what was going to happen, like how it is happening right now. You know, so when
it did happen, did you get emotional when it actually starts setting in? Because
I mean, once it did, after those first 2 weeks, you know, I was pretty content. You know, like, hey, like this is a nice little break. I got a chance. You know, we got more chances to spend with our family. We weren't, because we were traveling. We were supposed to be out of the country a lot this year, and we were really looking forward to it. You know, Europe. We were supposed to be in Europe for like 13 days or something. You know, and that didn't happen. It would have been my first time being in Europe, so I was really excited about that. But then that was shut down, and you know, so the first couple of weeks got some time to spend with family, and then after the first couple of weeks, I know my daughter was like, "Yo, Dad, you need to get out of here. You're annoying me. You know, like get back to work." And like, I'm like, "Well, sweetie, I can't really right now. Like, I can't really leave." So, you know, we were. I mean, it was you know, really terrifying at one point. Like, what are we going to do?
You could have grabbed your mask, went over to his house, and went gardening.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that, because we were both calling each other. Yeah, so I started. Once I found out he started, I started. I was like, all right, cool, let's do this, you know, and you know, gave some projects for my kids to do and that kind of thing. But like, yeah, I did a lot of gardening. I have a green thumb now for sure. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
You've done some performances in the last month. I was saying, when did it start coming back?
I want to say it started like maybe April.
Really?
Like
late April, probably.
We've only had like 5 though.
But it has to be really small stuff.
Yeah. And I think our first one back, like bar gig, was at the local in Atlantic Beach.
Patio.
Yeah.
And you know, talking to the manager, she goes, make sure you keep them out. Now, I'm sure you've heard this too, playing at the bars, but like, when they first started opening, you know, they had the 25% capacity and things like that, and make sure everybody stays 6 feet apart. And the manager comes to me and she goes, "Hey, so make sure if you see anyone dancing or getting up, you know, congregating or whatever, like tell them to go sit back down." And like for us, especially the singers and like the lead like MCs of the day, of the night, like that's really hard to do. Like, hey, you can't dance. Go sit back down. Like right now. That's just like hard to do.
No, you really can't. It has nothing to do with social distancing. You can't dance.
Right. Yeah. So like, obviously, a lot of these people ignored it, and we had a blast, right?
Yeah.
But then things were shut down again, and so then it was just like, wow, like people were starting to recognize, okay, maybe we should have taken this seriously.
Yeah. Has it picked up more since then?
Not really, no.
No.
You know, like
some private gigs.
I mean, house parties and things like that. But even then, it's just, you know,
how big is the house? Because there's no way that's social.
Well,
distance.
we've done some really nice house parties. We were
talking before,
and I mean, some houses that I never even knew were in Jacksonville. I was just like, wow, this is here. This is crazy. But you know, we were spread out, you know, kind of thing. But you know, at this point, people are kind of just over it, I guess. And it sucks to say it like that, but they're just, you know, they want to get out and dance, right? They want to get out and hear live music again. Escape, exactly.
Were you prepared to sort of like he was, or were you just...
well, he and I talk just about every day. So I think I was more prepared to let my guys know, you know, like, hey guys, this is what we need to be ready for. Like things are about to be shut down for a little while, you know? So I don't think I was really mentally ready for it to be shut down like it is. No, I don't think I was. I think it was really like, okay, you know, I think I'm pretty good at saving, right? So like, let's see how this goes. You know, thankfully I have support from family and things who understand my situation, and other musicians like, you know, that I'm a part of. Like we all kind of like, you know, tone down like, hey, like let's figure out a way to get through this. And, you know, whether we do production for other people and selling beats and things like that, little things like that helped. But
well, I sat at home and I got pretty emotional and stressed and anxiety, watched a lot of TV, and then I figured after a few days, you know, if I don't eventually start trying to do something, they're even going to turn my cable off. So I got to do something. Chris, in your situation, you know, I know, like Aaron, I saw y'all doing some streaming stuff. I've seen you doing some streaming stuff, but tell me about your story. When did you figure out that the world has changed and this is not something for a week? Tell me what was going on with you.
It was exactly the same weekend. It was TPC. Mm-hmm. We were scheduled to do this party, and we got the call that they canceled it. It was done, you know. And so, you know, we were all watching the news, and we saw the one guy announce that he tested positive, and you know, but he's not going to come up and hit the ball, and all the drama out of that. And then we're thinking, okay, well, it's cool. The party's going to keep going, no worries. And then same experience. We started getting calls, and it's just like, okay, well, that's canceled. And then we're like, okay, well, TPC, cool. All the other gigs were still happening, and then slowly, you know, really just the government came in and started stipulating, we've got this going on, we got that going on, and people just started reacting to that, therefore dictating to the venues, look, man, we don't have money to pay you because there's nobody coming in, so we're going to have to cancel the gigs. So the pub gigs went, and then slowly the corporate gigs went, and then the great thing about most of the corporate gigs, they're all rescheduling for 2021. Mm-hmm. The weddings are doing the same thing, and they're scheduling for next year. But there too, we've lost some. And that's just inevitable.
You brought up something I've had. Pretty much everything on our books just went away. Mm-hmm. But when they're all starting to think that this is all going to happen in the fall, the interesting part of our city, which I guess at some point would be interesting to talk about, there's not enough venues. Mm-hmm. So everybody can't. Even if they wanted to, there's not enough space when you take all of spring and summer and push it into that Labor Day to Thanksgiving time frame. There's not enough venue space in our city, so some are actually not wanting to cancel, but they don't have a lot of options because there's not enough venue space when the world comes back, because when it's all spread out, it sort of works, push it all into a couple months, and there's not enough.
We talk with them on that same point, Brandon. We're just like, look, can you consider maybe scheduling for a Thursday? Can you maybe move it to a Sunday? And most of the time, people are really open to say, yeah, we can do that, and we'll use our promotional wheel and our network to help you get it out there. You do the same, and you're maybe going to have to just use more elbow grease going into it this time than maybe you did the years previous. But let's keep it going. And there again, some people are just like, no, we don't want to do that. Let's just wait till next year. And we're like, okay. So then, of course, like these guys, we got to start looking. Okay, well, how can we fill that? Mm-hmm. What can we reach out and do? And I was listening the other day, and it's kind of like, the season that we're in is not going to dictate whether you live or die, right? So, some people freeze to death and die in winter, and some people snow ski and snowboard. It's all about where you're at in between your two ears. And so based on that, man, we got to look at it and say, okay, look, how can we get creative in this? How can we look outside the box? Who can we reach out to? Who can we collaborate with? And I think that's kind of one of the silver linings that's been put to aside. A lot of people that may had reservations about working with someone before, or had made an assumption about somebody but really didn't get to know them, are now starting to do that, starting to connect, and really seeing the opposite, like a lot of times it happens. So I think that's one thing. And the other thing that's statistically a fact, man, because we got a lot of the thing that bothers me about the whole situation, I think, anytime we get frustrated, it's because we're in a state of incongruency, right? Mm-hmm. For what we want to do and where we want to go. And this is happening over here, doesn't match. We get frustrated, or we get angry, or we get upset, or, we sit down and take 2 days to cry, or whatever it is, or eat lots of pie or cake like me, right? Eat as much chocolate as possible. We do that. But what we don't realize, man, is that, in every depression and every recession, 65% of the top 1,000 Fortune 500 companies in the world began and started in a depression or recession. That's a fact. It's not like, here I go, World Health Organization. Well, it's A today, and then 2 months later, well, it's actually B. And so that gets us all here on every level. We start getting frustrated, man. We're like, well, come on, man. I'm trying to move forward. Whether you're in private business like we all are, or whether you work for a corporation, or whether you're just mom at home taking care of the kids, which is a big job, it's frustrating. So, I look at things like that and say, okay, cool. Well, that happened then. It can happen now. What can we do to get creative right now in this situation to make the most of this opportunity, right? It doesn't mean I'm like fantasizing and hyperbole and rah-rah siskumba and all that BS. It's not about that. It's about just being real. The reality is the country's reacting the way it is. That's what it is. I'm not going to make it worse than it is, but I can make it better than it is by what I can do.
How long of a gap before you started performing again, and how are you doing now? How many performances and are you doing now? We
jumped on the live streaming right away. So the very first thing we did is we reached out to Tom Fisher, Whiskey Jacks, and we talked to a lot of people. Tom jumped on it first and said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. And then we collaborated with Nate Rhodes, which was River City Views. So we got that group together and said, we're going to live stream. We're going to support all the bands in town who can and want to do it, and come on and raise money for them. And, there were some bands that came in that did the work, and they would come out that night, and after everything was paid out, they'd walk out with $1,200, $1,500, And so for a trio, that's great. For one of the bands who made like $800 and there was 8 guys in the band, it's still $100 they didn't have. So we went that route, but then we started to see that slowly went down. So then we discontinued the live streams. And so we did that, and and then just continued to work and think about what can we do to create more. But I have my dance studios too,
right.
So that's a whole nother crazy thing going on.
They weren't coming in to probably get dance lessons, right?
No, it shut down immediately. The only thing that kept being consistent were wedding couples.
Yeah,
but they fit the demographic. I'm this age, right? I'm least likely to get it, or at least then. And I've got a deadline. I'm marrying this girl in October. I got to get ready. Yeah. So they would come in, but we would do as much as we could to accommodate the 6-foot rule as much as we possibly could.
Have you performed with all 18 members yet?
Yeah, we did. We did our first big band show.
Because of social distancing, what is that, a 200-foot wide stage?
So here's the deal. So these guys kind of touched on it. So when we did our first big band show, it was our second biggest big band show we'd ever done at Cas Marina. And as you know, we've been doing that for a couple of years now, the last Wednesday or Thursday of every month. And it was our second biggest one as far as turnout, tickets sold, money made, all the stuff. And we were stepped back and we were like, yeah, well, it felt pretty crowded. So that's cool. Here's the thing. We had one couple come up and said, well, you guys aren't doing mask and that and the other. And we were like, it's everybody's choice. You can wear a mask. We can put you as best as we can somewhere seated over here so you're in distance. No, we just want our money back. Okay, that was it. That's all we had. And
how can you sing with the mask on? I never thought about it. It doesn't.
It's hard to do.
Who's going to sing with the mask on? It doesn't make sense.
Solo man,
I don't
do it.
Yeah, so we did a live stream show one time, and Solo sang the whole time. He sang with his mask on, and you could tell it was like he kept like pulling it up to like breathe a little bit. You know what I mean?
I just wanna be yours. I just wanna be yours and only yours. Yeah, baby, I just wanna be yours.
I know I can spend the whole time talking about COVID, but I'm actually going to toss it out here for y'all to just tell me what you think, non-COVID related. Talk to me about the local entertainment industry in comparison to maybe equal-sized markets. How do you think we're doing? How would you compare? What's the differences? Good, bad, different, whatever.
I think we were kind of touching on this when we all jumped in here, and I think Jacksonville is a great market for music. The one disadvantage I think we do have is how widely dispersed our population is amongst different neighborhoods, which is is the same in a lot of cities, but there's a higher population density in most of those neighborhoods that make up that city. But on a wide scale, Florida gets skipped on a lot of tours for many different reasons. But Jacksonville, I think, is slowly becoming an easier stop. A lot of tours will stop in Atlanta. They don't really want to make that jump all the way down. But with Jacksonville being that connector between 95 and 10, provides a little bit more opportunity where bands don't need to go deep. But we were saying like the one thing we're missing right now is kind of that mid-level room, like a 700 capacity room, which Jason and the guys at 1904, we're in the process of revitalizing Underbelly, which kind of would start to get close to filling that void, which I think would allow for, more at least touring music at that mid-level to start coming back through, which kind of helps build the entire music scene, because there's those different layers. We've obviously got a lot of bands and great shows coming through Daly's Place and the St. Augustine Amphitheater at a much higher level, but I think a lot of it is having that foundation. So we've kind of been missing that middle step. We have a lot of great clubs, the Jackrabbits, right down the road in 1904, and just been missing that middle tier. But
y'all think we're comparable in relation? What cities would we call that would be comparable to us? Because I wouldn't say Atlanta, wouldn't be Orlando. What would it be? Would it be? Could we say
hard to say.
Charlotte? Could we say something like Charlotte or something?
Yeah, like a Charlotte, Charleston. It's hard to say. Asheville's way too small, but the music scene is thriving in those cities. It's a good question. Like St. Augustine, time after time, has been one of the most sought after amphitheaters and venues, and I think people see kind of Northeast Florida as a destination, and they see the rich history and a lot of things that helps kind of bring bands to the area, at least on like a national scale or international scale. But locally, I mean, it's a thriving scene in my opinion. It always has its waves, but I think we've all been through.
I think what's
parts
cool.
of it.
I think what's cool from looking back for a long time, and just being someone who would go out and not being in a band, just go out and listening to music. What's really different, I think now, my feeling is I feel like the bands, there's more of a cohesiveness. Mm-hmm. Like I'll text with Aaron and talk with him, and he'll hit me back. And, the stuff that I would always hear was that there was such as animosity. Yeah. And I don't feel like this group, the bands that we have now, that roll like that at all. Yeah. And it could be a generational thing. I don't know. I respect what Be Easy does, man. I mean, I tell everybody the same thing, and he can vouch for that. I mean, whether I'm live, if he comes on, I'll be like, "What's up?" If I'm going live or whatever, and give him a shout out and talk him up. And I don't know. I just think that's the way it should be done. And Be Easy and the Chris Thomas Band, we're just different, and so we support them. And I mean, they're my favorite band. But like, if I am off on a night, it's the realities of family and people who haven't seen you in a week or two. Like these cats, when they're booked, you got to do that. But if I go out and Be Easy is somewhere accessible, that's who I'm gonna go see.
Right, likewise.
Yeah, that's just who I'm gonna. I know I'm gonna get great music. I'm gonna get great entertainment. I think that's what's different.
We're brothers too. I mean, I tell everybody at our shows, and I see Chris Thomas walk in, I'm like, hey, yeah, that's my brother. You guys didn't know? We got same last name and everything.
Yeah,
actually, for the
similarity
record,
that's there,
For the record, I just want to say, Thomas is not actually my last name. It's my middle name, right? So I've been going by.
I saw that. And
yeah,
I'm
my
like,
last
okay,
name
so
is
why?
actually Payne,
But
P-A-Y-N-E.
why do you do that then?
Well, I've always, I grew up and my mom would always, just snap on me and say Aaron Thomas. She would always call me by my middle name. So like, it just kind of stuck with me. So if
I did
got in
Christian
trouble
radio in the 80s and I would call myself Randall Ray.
Yeah. is that your
middle name?
That's my middle name.
Yeah. See, I just go
never
by my middle
understood
name.
that one either. So we got something in common there. Okay.
Yeah. I just kind of stuck with me, just hearing Aaron Thomas all the time. Just like, all right, I'll stick with it.
Mine's a horror name, man. So my mother would. So my biblical my given name is Christopher. So my middle name is Lee. So the great sci-fi horror guy Christopher Lee from the horrible 70s. So I was like, I'm not gonna.
So I would look at when people were asking about you. I said, obviously, you've been compared to this. I'm sure Frank Sinatra is how I would say that whole sort of big band Frank Sinatra. Is that what you say? What else would you say to describe what you do?
I don't know. I enjoy Blue Eyed Soul. I really do. I like doing Otis Redding, Stax Records, early Motown, some funk. We're getting more into funk right now.
Yeah.
And so when I try to tell people, kind of Aaron explained it really well, man, because we're like, I don't know, like 2 to 4 years behind Be Easy. And so when he was describing the first album earlier, kind of like, we're going to do this and put it out there and trying to kind of get it down to where their sound's going to be. I feel like we're still kind of going through this process. I mean, I love doing the jazz standards the best, and I like covering them. Cats like Gregory Porter are a big inspiration. But, man, it's hard to say. But I would say, our tagline, Sinatra to Soul, it's how we roll. It's kind of just what we tell everybody, so...
Yeah,
and of course, to me, I'm sure I don't know how you feel, but I compare your voice to like Michael Jackson and all. But how do you describe it, or what you do?
It's a blend of we listen to so much music in this scene, in the cover scene. And you get a lot of people wanting you to do all kind of songs and all kind of artists. So I've been inspired by so many, but yeah, I guess I get that more Michael Jackson, Bruno Mars kind of. Feel a lot for and I love the funk style, I love the soul style. But
you ever seen Bruno Mars in concert?
I've not live, no.
I went to a Super Bowl the night before they had him performing, and I knew he was good and all that stuff. But my God, when he was in concert, totally different, and it was great. But when you saw him in concert, it's like, no, man, this is insane. How much energy and how cool this was.
Bruno Mars and Prince, God rest his soul. That's one of the two or both of those were the only concerts I really, really wanted to catch. And I hope I'll be able to catch a Bruno Mars concert. But yeah, Prince, Michael Jackson, Bruno, those guys. But you mentioned Motown and stuff like that. And I grew up on a lot of that, and Dave Matthews even too. It's just totally random from that style of that Bruno does and Michael does. But like
best cover of Benny and the Jets I've ever heard. For real, Benny and the Jets.
Far too kind.
I was in the back at Lynch's, and I was like,
I know. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've heard
when
it,
you hear that, I heard that opening and dun. I was like, no way. And then he rolled out on it. And I was like, wow, blew my mind.
One of my personal favorites. That one is. But we were talking about earlier, like songs that you play so much of that people want you to play all the time. And that one is starting to get into the list of songs.
Okay,
that
so
I'm
with that
over.
said, what's y'all's favorite song to perform?
Oh man, that's
or
tough.
your favorite art? I get no favorite
tough.
song.
Song or artist?
I don't know either.
Sheesh.
Both.
Wow.
You got one?
Yeah, we just covered his single that he did of Joe Jackson, Stepping Out, Kurt Elling, hands down. Yeah, I'll OD on that cat.
Shoot.
You don't have one. Come on,
I have many. One of my favorite songs to play at any show is "Let's Stay Together" by Al Green. It's one of my favorite songs to sing. Like I remember waking up like in the morning, 8 years old, and hearing my mom blasting that song in the kitchen. Like, so like that's one of the songs that it'll always stick with me. I love that song. People get tired. Like my guys in the group, they're like, "Are we gonna play this again?" I'm like,
okay,
hell yeah.
Favorite artist, period.
Oh,
ever.
Marvin Gaye.
Jackie Wilson.
You?
Oh man, y'all are quick on that one. I got way too many artists. All time. Drawing a blank here. We'll go with Bill Withers for right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah.
If you didn't do this, I would assume, Chris, you would dance for a living. If you couldn't do what you do,
Yeah.
or what did you think you were going to do? How about that one?
I thought I was going to be an attorney because I grew up.
Went the other way on that one. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
I grew up outside of Chicago, so it was all planned, and so my dad said we're moving. I was like, well, okay.
Wait, where at? Outside Chicago.
Aurora, Illinois.
See, I grew up in Carbondale.
Yeah,
Illinois.
I do. Yeah, man.
Shout out to SIU, Southern Illinois, Salukis.
So you thought you were going
Fighting
to be
the
an
line
attorney?
now, baby.
Go
Fighting the
Dogs,
line.
go Dogs.
Go Hawks.
What else would you do if you couldn't do what you do? Or what did you think you were going to do? Either one.
This has been my path since like I went to school for event management. I started
Really?
playing music.
Where?
UCF.
Okay.
So that was my career path was always set around music, and I figured events kind of tied right into that. So I'm sticking it out.
You?
I've been doing music. Music's been a part of me for all of my life. My dad was in a band. He played drums. He was in like I tell people all the time, he's in a gospel band, like still today. And
Anyone I would know?
My
No?
grandpa, well, they're called Rapture 7. It's a gospel group. They toured in like the 90s all over the country at one point. But I always tell people my grandpa, my dad's dad, he basically started like a gospel Jackson 5, right? So like everyone is, my uncles, I have my 3 uncles, my 3 aunts, like they started this big gospel group, right? And I remember going to their concerts and stuff, and like that's what I always wanted to do. And so like I'm always gonna want to do that. But other than that, something random. I used to weld in a shop when I was like 14. I don't tell anyone else I told you that, but I don't think I was really supposed to. But
So that was your first job?
I had a passion for. I've always been had a passion for art, right, and artistic things, and like making like painting and things like that. Like, but music really stuck with me more. But like random stuff like that, like I don't know. It's just really the artsy side of things, I guess, for me.
Okay, tell me the coolest out of everything that you've ever performed in your whole sort of life here. Which one that pops out in your mind as saying the coolest event you were a part of or performed at or whatever that you were actively involved in that you think was probably the coolest thing ever?
This one sticks with me. I was South by Southwest in 2014. I think it was right when, or it may have been a little before then. Like it was right when CeeLo Green came out with the song "Forget You," right? So we were downtown South by Southwest, and it was just me and a guitarist, and we were in the middle of the street. He grabbed this like little amplifier and just sat in the middle of the road, right on 6th Street. And 6th Street is packed. If you've ever been to South by Southwest it's just like crazy. It was a weekend. It was like Saturday, right? And there was a little club that was really like right catty corner from where we were that CeeLo Green was supposed to go play in. Well, he didn't show up. So my guy, we learned this song, the Forget You song, and we started playing it. And I mean, like thousands of people gathered around. And this is when I first like got comfortable singing in front of people. Cause like I used to do a lot of like studio stuff and I never really sang out in front of people like that. And we had thousands of people. I have a picture on my Facebook. It's pretty cool. But they just gathered around us. We played that song for like an hour and a half straight. I'm not kidding. We played that song. And we also did the unedited version of it, but that's the part I felt like people were really excited about. They wanted to just scream "F you"
that you said a cuss word,
yeah. So, and I was just this young kid. I was this young kid, barely had a mustache. I'm out there and singing the hell out of this song with this little tiny amplifier, but it was just the people around us that it just amplified the whole city. Cool. I felt like so it was really memorable.
Okay, your coolest performance that you can think of?
I would think so. 2017, we toured. We did London to support the CD, and I would say it was Ronnie Scott's Upstairs. So that was just crazy. And then getting to go downstairs and seeing that, but being upstairs and just knowing that you're standing where Ella Fitzgerald stood and Sarah Vaughan stood and Louis, and the piano that was there was like. All the greats. And so my piano player, Jonah, was just totally wigging out because he's touching the same keys that every iconic jazz pianist had ever played. So, I would say that was it. And then the reaction from the crowd was really, because, you don't know. Mm-hmm. These people don't know you. So it was cool.
Drums, you don't miss that, or you still once in a while you do. I can't imagine that you're just getting away from it.
He's still pretty badass on those things, man. Like he actually.
I think my favorite performance when I was still performing, we were got flown down to Guantanamo Bay Naval Base for Gitmo Palooza with 303. If you guys remember that weird pop band, so we were direct support to 303, and it was like Gitmo's biggest blowout celebration. In November before the end of the year. Anyways, the whole base, anybody that was not working that day was at that show. And we were literally playing on this beautiful mobile stage in front of the actual Guantanamo Bay, overlooking the water, and it was just the best energy and the most like authentic response that we had gotten as a band. We spent hours after the show just talking to everybody that was there, all the troops, and how like appreciative they were of just having the music, having the entertainment. And meanwhile, there's like Russian nuclear sub, in stone's throw just off in the distance. They're like, man, this is America, like having a rock concert out, and cool. There's fighter jets. But that was probably one of the most unique experiences we've ever had.
Oh, honey, I won't wear you down. She's
Okay, anyone want to share their lowest moments?
Oh, shoot. I have many of those, man.
I have stories even within my companies. I'm just curious. Y'all have one y'all want to share?
Oh, dude.
You were talking about getting comfortable playing, like singing in front of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people we see you guys, and you guys are pros at what you do. And people are like, man, if I was only talented like that, I could do that. But they don't think about all the years that you guys have been doing it. Did you go through a process when you were first starting out, getting comfortable being on stage, and was ever a point where you're on stage and it's not going well, and you're like, this isn't going well, I don't want to be up here right now?
There's been many times, and I wouldn't even really. I appreciate the I appreciate the statement, us being pros, but we're not. Me personally, I always strive to be the absolute best I can actually be. And sometimes you go through these phases where you have so much that you need to learn still, right? And when I get on stage and there's a certain song that I'm supposed to learn, like at a wedding or something, and I know I'm about to mess this up, it's the scariest feeling ever because you're literally about to sing this couple's first dance, right? But see, what I've tried to master, right, is like going through with the song, and maybe Chris, you can speak on this too, but like going through with the song and not even like they don't even know that you're messing up, right? So like I'll just sing random words, but it's the same melody. But then I've been caught in a situation where the bride literally walks up to me and she goes, "I don't think that's how the song goes, but the way you did it, I mean, it worked. So thank you." So like,
you don't ever put the words down on the stage to make sure you get something right.
I've never done that. I've always listened to a song about 50 million times before I'm supposed to play it in the same day.
You never blanked out. Even I know you said you made a word, but I'm like, I have no idea even what the melody is. I'm just frozen. Can we start this again?
So the One Spark show that we did on the stage when I think Gus Bradley was the coach at the time.
Was it the one at the stadium?
The one at the stadium,
okay,
right around the corner here. We started playing, and I think that's right when Uptown Funk came out or something like that, right? And we had been playing that all weekend during One Spark, and I totally bombed that song on the very last night of us playing. Like I totally just stopped singing and I just just played it off, right? Started jumping around, dancing around, acting like those are the most embarrassing times for me, for sure.
You ever forget the words? You ever had to start over? What kind of horror story?
It just happened on Saturday, man. I told you.
Hey, it's all right. We're a little out of practice.
Well, we play so much too,
it's just like, is that how it goes? I think that's the word.
Yeah, right.
I think, did I sing that right?
Is that your worst story? You were almost going to say a bad story about something that didn't go well.
Man, dude, I have so many, kind of like you.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay, I'll lead you into one. Have you ever had like your drummer or your kid just not show up? And then it's like, how are we going to do this?
We won't get into that. I'm not trying to call anybody
It wasn't
out.
him, was it?
No, not me.
Niko, no, I'm just kidding.
We did Gusto about 2 weeks ago, and the keyboard player just didn't show up.
Yeah.
And then we're texting back and forth, can't find him, and we're just like, all right, well, we have guitar, so let's just go. So I think that probably happens, more times than we want to acknowledge, but
not as much.
But I think the cool thing, and I think probably Be Easy rolls this way too. It's like you're such a brotherhood and you're such a family. It's like, well, he's something must have. It's all good. Let's just hope he's cool, and let's just get down and do the gig, and we'll be fine. Are you a little annoyed? Of course you are.
Right. Yeah.
Do you got to change up a little bit? Sure, but to answer the question about getting comfortable, a lot of the same stuff that Aaron said, but I mean, man, I don't know. For me, when I hit the stage, it's just like I just lose my mind. I go to another place and I feel the most fearless when I'm on stage than anywhere else.
Same.
Now, before I go on stage, I am.
Oh yeah, I'm freaking out.
I got
sweating bullets.
Bad gas.
But as soon as that music starts, then you're rolling.
You're gone. Yeah.
I think the last time I saw Chris was like earlier, like last year, or it was like December or something. We played at Grape and Grain right around the corner. And I lost my voice. I had played like 4 or 5 days straight, right?
Oh,
and I lost my voice, and I'm trying so hard because I can't stand like when people come there and I know that they're coming to see us and like, hey, we came to see you. They'll even let you know like we came to see you. Thanks for like being here tonight. And I can't, show I can't do what I do. I was so excited when I saw Chris Thomas walk in. I was just like, great. Come sing these last 6 songs for me, please. I will pay you half of my salary, like for the rest of my. Please, just come play, or just come sing a few songs, so I can walk off and act like this was planned.
Yeah.
You
guys mentioned traveling internationally a few times, and you expand on that process of getting those phone calls, finding out the first time that somebody in Europe or Turks and Caicos booked you, and just kind of like how that works, especially with like Chris with like an 18-piece band.
Right.
How does that logistics work?
Well, I tell you, we didn't take the 18-piece, and there were 10 people pissed.
You gotta kind of narrow it down times because there's a lot of like the process of going out of the country is for just us by ourselves. Is a whole lot, especially when you have to have like work permits and things like that. Like he mentioned Guantanamo Bay, we did the same. last year, and that's all. We have so many great experiences playing and doing this for a living. It's amazing. Like, right, you never take it for granted. And Guantanamo Bay was the most like memorable experience that I've ever had too. But you mentioned like the process that it takes to actually get those
base
gigs
is insane.
Is like you get there and you're just like, are we even going to be able to play yet? Like, you know, you're getting all these checks and stuff like that.
Well, by the time you travel, by the time you get the airfare, by the time you actually get the transportation, get in the hotel, be able to pay all these expenses and be able to come back. I mean,
well, it's all about.
It's sad to say they're not writing you Beyonce checks. So when it comes down to it,
well, it's deal
it's a great
structures.
experience. But I mean, it's probably tough to say. You know what? This was really worth all the energy, other than the joy of doing it.
Well, it's all about the deal structure of like how you go about. You know, so from the first time when you get that call, you know, when we field these calls, you know, you take everything with a grain of salt. But a majority of the people that are booking us internationally are not local promoters. They're international corporations that are taking us for their global sales incentive trips.
How do they find you?
Just through being out and seeing them live.
Jacksonville's a big city. There's a lot of people that come in and out, you know.
It's a big business city.
And so there's a lot of people that...
And it's just connections that, you know, either Aaron's made or myself, or, you know, just that kind of the word of mouth reference that we've gotten pretty much all of these international stints, international weddings. As the Turks and Caicos was a wedding. So like we go through the process of, you know, looking at what our baseline costs would be for actual like expenses of flights, work permits, you know, sourcing backline, the whole shebang. And then we just add a performance fee on top of that. And if they're willing to cover 100% of expenses and still pay us our performance fee, it's not any different than it would be performing here at home. And you get this amazing experience.
Right.
How much does the social media impact your bookings?
Huge.
Or is it huge?
Yeah, definitely.
Or, see, I would have thought it would have been word of mouth would have been the biggest thing, but maybe not.
They go together. It's
well, it used to. Word of mouth was like
word
heavy
of mouth
for us,
is still
especially.
our number one provider. But I think the biggest thing that bands miss out on is they have to have a great digital presence. So you have to. Things we get complimented on a lot is a digital presence that represents the brand as it would in person. So you have to be able to translate that into a digital realm so that when people are looking at your product online, which is 99% of our inquiries are probably coming through website, through social media, or still word of mouth, but it's word of mouth through a digital, you know, medium. So the way that we represent the band online is hopefully reflective of the quality of the product, which allows us to, you know, charge the rates that we do. So
Chris, is that what you agree with too?
Spot on.
Social media.
The exact
So
same.
now I want to understand but how, I mean, you outsource everybody about the search engines or your social, are you doing it yourselves?
we've got an in-house like team that
So you have someone that and you too.
Yeah, Sarah's 17 years IT, so my partner in the whole thing. So that's the blessing. So
You know what I
she's
found
a monster.
fascinating?
Yeah.
Word of mouth is how PRI pretty much is run, but I find it fascinating. People that don't really maybe know, or they just came in or something like that. I cannot believe that we're talking every single day. PRI, somebody has no idea who we are, and I'm getting inquiries. Okay, at my age, I still find that beyond fascinating. You have no idea who we are, and you're just sending emails to try to see if you can get something from us, and that's every day, sometimes, well, multiple times a day, which is fascinating because. But you do got to get that connection, and that's tough because inevitably, I don't know how it works, and I'd love for one of y'all to comment on it. On the, how are they searching in general? What would you think they're doing to find y'all? Because if they don't know you by name, how are you positioning yourself? And at some point, it's nice that you're telling me that the local community of entertainment is all pretty much playing well together here, but to some extent, I mean. You want to eat as much. You want to get what you can and be able to do it. So how is that? Because that whole sort of, you can't just do it and think you're good for the year. I mean, you got to keep up with this thing. So tell me about that.
I know that was a shift for us. I mean, for probably like 4 years ago, it's like every time we'd come up for a gig, we'd always go second to be easy, and then we'd be like, okay, we get it, because I mean they're just that exceptional. So it's just like, okay, it's cool. But because we would continue in that relationship with whoever that person was, hey, listen, thank you for the nod, really, really appreciate it, and we would nurture that relationship, then there would be other opportunities that would come out of that. So Be Easy still got their thing, and their still brand is building and going. But now we're starting to get the same thing, and I think the camaraderie between those two bands do nothing but, because it's like, I know for us, and I know Aaron's told me this, I know Solo's told me this, that hey, listen, man, did you get that thing? Because I told him about you guys because we're already booked and that and the other, and Niko's done that for us too, and it's just kind of like, and we're the same way back.
Right.
So
No, it
back
didn't used
to
to be
Niko's
like
point.
that, though.
No, it's true.
Like, when I first moved here, everybody was for themselves as far as their band against the next band, and like, oh, we want these gigs, and no one else can get these gigs, that kind of thing. But like when I met Chris, I'm pretty sure Chris like got me in contact with so many different venues, like from the beginning, And so I think, like you said, the camaraderie and things like that. But really, to touch on the fact that word of mouth for us is still working out, because we're not really great at, I'm just going to be honest, like our group is not really great at like recording ourselves and like filming, like, and doing these videos and stuff to put on social media, because one, we work a lot. We do a lot of shows like every single day. So it's really hard to fit the timing in. We got a big group too, 6-7 guys, with families and things. It's really hard to get together. So like when we do those videos, we want to make the most of it. And I mean, it helps tremendously, but we still have a lot of people that reach out to us and say, hey, we saw you, we think we saw you at so-and-so, and then we're like, yeah, that was us. Yeah, so book us.
But to your point, Randy, too, is like from a buyer perspective, we probably book about 700 to 800 shows a year. And there's enough work for everybody to go around. I find, from my perspective of having to book, let's say 10 shows on one given night, there's not enough talent. There's not, I think there's room for more bands to get more work. And granted, the price point might not be the same where Chris Thomas and where Be Easy are, but there's still work to be had, and there's plenty of money to be made. I think Jacksonville is a very unique market in that sense.
So if you're booking them and it's like on a Friday and Saturday night straight, do you show up, or you just say, if you need me, call me?
It just some days. It just depends.
It depends on how nice the gig is.
Yeah, it depends on the client. Like a lot of the bar and restaurant gigs and a lot of the smaller stuff, we've got other events going on too. So it just depends on the night.
Trip to the sky, and I won't be back for a while. So leave a message on the beat, and I'll get back to you when I touch down. Going on a trip to the sky, and I won't be back for a while. So leave a message on the beat, and I'll get back to you when I touch down.
With what I do for a living, is similar to y'all in relation to the fact of saying it's not a family-friendly type of career. And you're pretty much going to be performing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And now you start getting families, you start trying to do other things, and ouch. This is just when families all getting together, things are happening, holidays start coming around. Here we go. Because I can only imagine with me, like y'all, when Christmas comes around, it's like, oh my God, I have no Christmas time between Thanksgiving and Christmas because that's when I make all my money. It's like, yeah, but you're missing out on so much. So you got to either really love it, but you're also somewhat depriving yourself of some of the memories that other people get. But it's not a whole lot different with my end, on my end.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I just want to know how y'all handle that, and has it been challenging to y'all? Have you ever considered getting out of it? Because at this point it's just, I just really want to sometimes just have my Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, pretty much Friday, Saturday night at least. Thoughts on that?
It's been at it 10 years now. I moved here when I was 18, so like I'm almost 29, right? So like I'm at a point at maybe not too long ago, like a few years ago, I was really over like missing out on holidays because holidays were the moneymaker. I was able to support my family, just on those 2 months, from like November to
just think about New Year's Eve, because we booked you on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, but it's
you're
cool.
giving it up. Where's my family?
My
Happy
birthday
New Year.
is
I'll
New
call
Year's
you
Eve.
afterwards.
And I've always celebrated my birthday at a show, right? So like, December 31st. So it's just everybody's partying. So that's how I look at it as like, oh, everybody's partying for me. Nice. We were on Shad Khan's, the yacht, and that was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. And I was
what
like,
a birthday party.
I was like,
And you
what a
went home
birthday
and-
party. Yeah.
You went home and told your wife all about it.
Well, she was there. So like, it was
Oh,
really
okay,
cool
okay,
that,
well, cool,
that
okay.
we were able to bring her too. And,
good,
you know,
good.
cause she was stoked, but there's not all the time you can't do that all the time.
Right.
You know, you can't bring your wife or your kids to every random show that you have on a major holiday like that. I mean, it's just,
But I think we're getting more and more flexibility. It just depends on the gigs and
and we're able to pick and choose now too, you know? I mean, now, like before we weren't able to. Like it's just now, at this point we're able to get a lot, right? So like within these holidays, we get a lot of inquiries.
Yeah.
But like we're able to pick which one would best fit, you know, us and the amount of guys that we have and who's available and things like that. Because sometimes my guys get a lot of calls from other bands or other, you know, like churches and things like that. Like that, you know, and some of my guys like tour with like major artists and things like that too. So like if they get a call, you know,
Yeah,
they're
they're out
touring
for
with like
months.
Charlie Wilson and like Fantasia and like all the Will Montgomery was just traveling with Arrested Development, you know, and so he was gone for like the whole year last year, and we needed him so many times throughout the year, and he wasn't able to do it. So it's you know, everything's it sucks sometimes, but
So, Chris, I want to hear about the Friday and Saturday nights. How does that get to you at times? How does it impact you? Does it not impact you? Just say it's okay, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this last year has been really, really, really testing where that's concerned. So, you know, my wife and I divorced, and you know, it's been tough. It's been a little bit over a year, and we kept it on the down low, and that's just kind of how we roll. We have 4 daughters, and one of my daughters graduating UCF next year, man.
nice.
So
Congrats.
let's go Golden Knights, baby. Shada boom boom, good love. So it's cool. You know, it's difficult to all the points you guys made. So to sit here and say that it doesn't hit me every week to say that's it, I'm done, I'm quitting, I'd be a liar. Right. There's something will happen. You know, my daughter's birthday's today, because of what we're going through. I actually get to spend it with her, and she makes sure I remember that. Yeah, you didn't last year, and I'm like, yeah, the year before that. So you know, I always try to hang on to. You know, my dad taught me growing up because of his lifestyle that, you know, it's about moments. You know, your kids aren't going to remember every single day, but there are moments they're going to remember. So when you're there and you're in that moment, you got to go all in 100% and be present. No phones, don't do any of that stuff. You could be the biggest call in your career. It doesn't matter. Your kid matters. So since COVID, man, it's been there against the blessing for me just to step back and go, okay, what do I really want? And so I've reassessed it. And so I don't. It was tough because we were lining it up for it to be able to support that, what I wanted to do, gig-wise, not gigging all the time and spending more time with my girls. But now since this has happened, when it kicks back up, you know, they know there's not really a truth. I got to go in. It's like you built a brand,
right,
and you're going to start over with that brand, and we got to put some hustle behind the muscle and go. So. It's challenging, man. Holidays are tough. It's difficult.
Yeah.
So you got to make things unusual, you know?
I'm not a singer, but I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Because when the holidays come around or something, even before I had PRI, I used to travel on Christian music, and I was a piano player. I wasn't that great at it, but I did it.
Right.
But even in that scenario, even when I was in my 20s, lo and behold, every time holidays come around, I'm not there with my family, and that just sucks. And now I started a company, and I'm doing the same thing.
Yes.
Still not there when it comes. You know, I want to make sure at some point we talk about can y'all. We're not going to get them all in,
right.
But I'm going to say at the top of your head, name some other great bands or entertainment that's in the area. Let's give a shout out to some. Man. Okay, tell me why. Tell me something about them. Let's just try to get some other.
I'll start, but I'm partial a little bit. I'll say that.
Yeah,
but Honey Hounds are we manage them, but my love for their music was what kind of drew them into being involved in that project. Same with the band Be Easy, but Honey Hounds are blues rock trio.
Yeah. I mixed Honey Hounds at the Harley Davidson show, and they were great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
I mean, it's a 3-piece
original
band
too, and
original music. It's just they've got something going that I hope can represent Jacksonville on a national, international scale, which they've been doing. Great work over this past 2 years that we've been working with them, touring the nation, grinding in the van, playing shows, and have been making headway. So those guys are, I'm hoping, going to be able to help represent the city in a positive light on the original music scene.
Yeah. Right. Shout out to Ramona, the band, Janetta, and I mean, there's a few, Let's Ride.
Yeah,
Let's Ride brass band.
Yeah,
I mean, they walk with like 30 people deep. Crazy horn sections,
bringing second lines out
so
to
walking
the beach.
in the middle of the streets. I'm just
So
like,
different.
This is nice. Feels like New Orleans or something for a minute. But
I mean, Courtney Frazier, who just did the PMJ.
oh, she's got a
Killer voice,
crazy voice,
and so she is something else, man. So Scott Bradley, she did the contest online they do with PMJ every year, and she won it. And so Scott Bradley flew her out, and they covered Pearl Jam. That was her cover. So was it Black? She did? Is that the song? I don't remember, but it was great. Her, I just caught these guys. We did the live stream with them, Vox. So they are strictly like 70s, like Toto. But I mean, these guys bring the harmonies, and this lead cat, I'm interested in his story because it's crazy vocal. So I like them. I also like Andrew, who is what's the project right now? Julia Gulia.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So Andrew Jones, man, it just it's
He's
great.
killer, man. I watch him at Casa Marina every now and then.
Yeah.
He does a lot of acoustic. Now there's
So
a
you're
lot
saying,
of acoustic
so you're
acts,
saying when
too.
you don't perform, you still go to the same places and hear other people perform?
I mean, yeah, I like to go to the same couple places. Casa Marina, Marina. Marina. Sorry. I stay away from the beaches a little bit because we started at the beaches and we played there so much. We played for 7 years or something like that at Lynch's every Monday night, right? So like be in the beaches or like that, So we just had to stay away from there. But there's a bunch of solo acts, There's a bunch of like that you just randomly stumble upon too, that are like, wow, these guys are great. There's a lot of awesome talent in Jacksonville that just goes unnoticed sometimes because the music scene is like on the come up right now.
So here, from not being a performer, and if I hired a band, you touched on it briefly, Niko, but it seems like we want to hear the songs that we all relate to that we hear on the radios. But then I'm also recognizing there's a side that y'all want to express yourself from possibly to some originals. But then at some point, they're going to say, we want to hear some of the songs that we can actually relate to. I'm curious on any of this subject about originals versus covers. Can y'all comment and tell me what your thoughts are about all of this?
It's I mean, at least from like a booking standpoint, when we have people inquire about that, and we just make sure to point them in the right direction. I mean, I'm sure it's different for both of you guys, but if someone wants strictly original music and is looking for something like that, then we give them, here's your options, an array, and just finding something that's going to fit what they're looking for. And a lot of these original bands still do. Maybe it's not a full set of covers, but like with Honeyhounds, even like we're doing a wedding in Seattle next month, and they love Honeyhounds as an original act, and that's what they want. But they'll pepper in some of their favorite covers that kind of still blend with their original style, which is a balance.
Do you do originals?
The quick answer is no. I mean, we have a ton of them. It's just a matter of sitting down and saying, okay, let's do this. But for us, it's like every time it's like, okay, yeah, but we've got this wedding coming up. We have 6 new songs to learn. And, there's a horn section and this, and then running 2 dance studios. I'm like, yeah, let me work on getting the covers down. And then, I'm still going to mess the covers up that are new, but thank God for iPads.
Do y'all do originals?
I mean,
Yes, y'all did some. Y'all put out some stuff.
Yeah,
we put our
CD's
first
all.
album out.
Dude, I have
talking
that.
about.
I have that CD.
That's awesome.
Damn, yeah, man, that's a great.
We were proud of it at first, and then we kind of got kind of content and playing out and doing other music, cover music and stuff like that. But we still incorporate a lot of our stuff from that album into like our cover shows, right? But then sometimes we'll like, me personally, I write a lot, right? And I try to throw out some of my music when we're at these shows that they just don't really know. Some people will come up, hey, what was that song that you played right before that? And I'm like, oh, that was mine, or that was ours. It's just like,
You play
you
an
can do
instrument?
that. Guitar on occasion,
Okay.
It's like I don't really break it out too much. It's just like just when it's needed kind of thing. I don't like to show off too much. I'm not too flashy or anything. Just
Tell me your future plans. Tell me what you would like to see, where y'all going, what's happening, what's gonna. Tell me a little bit about what road y'all want to go down, what you want to see for yourself in regards to your entertainment.
I mean, for us, it's obviously the present, just getting through this, man, and just and trying to do the best we can to, again, be creative and come up with new ideas of what we can do to bring music to people. Because in spite of a certain percentage of people who are like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to shut down that and the other, there's still a large percentage of people who are like, I got to get out, I got to do things. This is their belief system. So kind of go with that future-wise. I mean, I would just like to get back to what 2020 was going to be. That would just be nice to start there. Right. And then, beyond that, just continue to move towards that trajectory, man. Just doing what we love to do and getting to the original music, because that was supposed to be down for 2020. So I know for us, that's kind of where we're at right now. So
Okay. Future plans.
Yeah, I know that we're just keeping our eyes on the prize, getting back to work. For future plans, we had a couple new festival properties that we were going to be bringing to Jacksonville, which we're really excited to share with the city. And those will be coming in 2021 at this rate. Getting the band, Honey Hounds back on the road. We had a few national tours planned for this year, so those are just put on pause, but looking forward to getting them back out, recording more music. And with the band Be Easy, we're always staying busy, but, we're going to be doing more and more weddings and corporate events, which have been kind of a highlight in the recent years. And just continuing to seek out some fun opportunities.
Like Chris said earlier, just taking advantage of the time now, right? And doing everything you can to not, have yourself just down and out. Just looking for ways to just grow and be better as musicians, as people. I mean, right now, it's just taking it step by step. With us, we just are lucky to keep having these inquiries come in and being able to just bring people together, even if they're 6 feet apart. It's like right now we're at a point where, getting in the studio and getting back into, those kind of things like we were doing in the very beginning, right before things got really hectic and we're just playing every day. Like we only had like Mondays and Tuesdays off, right? So we were playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So, hopefully we can get back to that soon next year. Because right now you can't pass anything up. At this point, you get everything you can?
Just guessing, do you get what you believe would be the same kind of rates as other cities pay for entertainment in their area, or are we under about the same? Really?
It depends on the market.
That's cool.
It depends, but you think about any major market, like a New York and Nashville.
I'm not even talking about those.
Okay, I mean, but you're getting pennies on the dollar if you're a performer there. You're not getting paid.
Oh, really?
At our level, you would not be getting. You're playing on Broadway for tips.
I thought I guess. I guess because everybody wants to. It's like going to Nashville.
we're very lucky.
All the country.
You're chasing the dream, which is a whole different thing.
Right.
But I think for a lot of, I think we're in a great place because our cost of living isn't extraordinarily high, and we have a lot of opportunity to make money throughout the week.
It's quicker to get noticed in those bigger cities too. That you're playing for nothing, and you have all these talent scouts and stuff walking around looking in every single bar. You don't get that here, I don't think.
Yeah.
So you just get people who are looking for a house party or a wedding, or hey, I got this. I work for waste management, right? So that's one group that we've had the honor and privilege to be able to work with in the past, and we were supposed to be in Europe with them earlier this year, and it didn't work through. It didn't work out at all. So at this point, it's just like I feel like we're pretty lucky still. Even during these crazy times, we're able to do what we can. I mean.
Open-ended question. What do y'all need?
Man, that's a great question, man.
Here we go.
I'm going to wait on that one. Hang on.
2 of myself.
One to work, one to be at home.
Right? I'm going to have to agree on that one there, Niko, for sure.
Man, dang, man.
I mean,
That's a great question, Randy.
For the city...
Okay, any way you want to do it, but any way you want.
There are some venues that kind of take advantage of new groups, new coming like bands and things like who me personally, I feel kind of like, or they don't really respect the music, right? They don't really, I'm not trying to call anyone out, not all of them, but there's been a few of them that I feel like are, they're hesitant to bring in a group that can really make them more money, right? Mm-hmm. Because of either one, they might be too out of their budget when really we're not, they're not asking for too much crazy. I mean, this is all local, right? So then you get groups that have never really played before that are coming in there for nothing, right? And I think it's just a battle between the people who have been doing this, and then the groups that are looking for a way in the door too, to just get a chance to actually play and showcase their skills. A lot of these venues, I feel like it kind of goes both ways, where they'll accept these new guys to come in and play, for nothing. And these guys get a chance to really showcase their skills and get more clientele and things like that for the same stuff that we kind of do, the corporate stuff, and they want to put their foot in the door the same way. And then other venues kind of just shut them off just because, they're a nobody or whatever. That's what they're not really out there as much. They don't really get noticed as much. So, I mean, I think, in order for Jacksonville to really grow as a city as far as the music industry goes, we have to just give these guys a chance, man. Like, I think that's what I got lucky when we first started. We were like sent to the street at one point, like, hey, sorry, we don't have room for you guys or whatever. They're still using the same group, right? The same residency band or whatever. Like, we get that. But it's just a matter of just staying persistent, and just
well, that might be your answer to the question I'm asking. Without giving any maybe exact names or whatever, what insults you? What bothers you? What's just like, wow?
I know for me, if we're talking venues, it's insulting to the venue and being a businessman and them being a businessman or person and not meeting me with the same amount of energy. You don't have to, you want to do more, that's cool, but don't do less, man. Don't do less. Let me see what you're doing, because I know over here, we're humping it, we're hustling, we're doing all we can to make sure that we totally pack your place out. Right. And that goes beyond, well, you're the Chris Thomas band or you're Be Easy. Yeah, that has certain clout. Right. Definitely. We worked to make it have clout. That was our efforts that we did that. But we're still here promoting on top of that to make sure that happens. So when we see little to zero from you, that's already offensive. And then second, you can be assured that when you show up, that cat's going to have the same attitude about how we're loading in or how we're setting up or whatever. That's offensive. And when bands undercut, that's just probably one of the most, I'd say that for me, that's the number one unprofessional thing you can do.
True.
And I get it. To Aaron's point, he touched on it lightly. I get it.
I don't want to get too much in there.
Right. You want to get your foot in the door, and I can dig it. You want to get your foot in the door, don't do it that way.
Right.
There's other ways to do it, like they did and like we did, like Niko did. There's other ways to do it. Don't do it by undercutting. Right. It's just not cool.
Okay. 20 years ago, I would have thought, and I'm not saying I haven't thought this deep in many years, but I knew people that were also in the entertainment industry many years ago in the city. And in the end of it, I don't mean it in a bad way towards the people that are employing y'all a lot when you go to the bars and the clubs, but they seem to have some sense of a pattern 20 years ago. I'm not even talking about right now.
Right.
Where they're going to try to tell you, hey, you know what? I'd rather just give you an open tab and you perform. And then in the end of it, I actually have examples of 20 years ago, not recently. In the end of it, you wind up drinking and you keep drinking it. You got to get out of here. You're just an alcoholic. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The old South.
This is all I got. And I'm like, that's to me, I found that to be so massively insulting, but I don't want to bite the hand that's feeding you guys when y'all go to that. Right. But I'm like, no, I really don't want you to sit here and just realize that all this alcohol is just available to me as I want it. And then after I perform here 6 months, you kick me to the street for a whole different reason because now you think I just drink too much. And I'm like, oh my God.
I think the biggest thing though, like if I had to kind of play off of that is assumptions on both sides of the parties, like both parties. Like assumptions are made because I get to play this interesting line within the city of seeing both perspectives as the band as well as the venue and the buyer, and this happens in both both lanes. Is an artist might assume they understand how this bar is operating and how much revenue they're generating just based off of okay, this is packed, and yes, you're probably right to assume that they're doing well, but you don't take into you don't think about all the other expenses, all the other things as the same with a bar owner. They don't think about everything that the musician puts in. So I mean, I find myself in the middle of the conversation trying to mediate almost in a way of saying, this is, at least from what I've gathered from the musician's perspective, what feels like a fair rate for where they're at. And obviously that kind of has a level of tiers depending on how long you're doing it, you've been doing it, but more importantly, like your following and just the product that you bring. And then whereas like I'm able to go to the bars and kind of communicate their needs and their their expectations in a way to the musicians that the musicians can also relate to. So I think there's a lot of assumptions made on both sides of both sides that kind of lead to conflict or lead to this confusion.
I think if you own a venue, you have a responsibility. When I owned mine, I didn't care that I had to go in early to do the work. I needed to know what could this band yield. I needed to know the data was out there, and back then it was difficult. Nowadays, it's so freaking easy because social media, it's there. You can do the work. You may be an hour and a half, 2 hours looking at this Facebook page, looking at this thread, reading that thread, looking at their bio, going to their website, doing all that. But the information is there. It's there. Does that negate that they may be the best band that you've ever heard? Maybe they are, but as a venue, you're like, yeah, but can you put butts in the seats?
Right.
To Niko's point. And for me, when I have my venue, that's what I would do. I would know. And we were getting touring acts, man. We had people coming through on their way to Orlando and Miami, and we knew ahead of time. And it's leverage. It's leverage.
I mean, it goes both ways too. You gotta let these, the bands that are also trying to put their foot in the door, they also have to understand that you have to be persistent. You have to be able to keep those butts in those seats.
What makes you feel good when someone hired you? What is, and you're out there, what is it that they can do for you that would actually say, this is really cool, and you give it more, or you just feel appreciated? What is it that you like to see, or what is it that you can feel like that someone did for you that just feels like, hey, this is cool?
If they book us, they take what we do seriously, and they feel like we bring a certain amount of positive energy to them that can either make their business grow or that. And we feel as a band, like, I know all the guys, when we get really good gigs, we're just like, they went out of their way to look for us and get us. We have to bring everything we have, and we have to do everything as professional as we can. And that's why Niko and I have been working together so long, and for 5 years now or something like that, 6 years almost. It goes both ways, from the management side and to what we bring to the table. We just feel appreciated, and it feels good to be appreciated, right? And
how can we do that? How can people that book you do that?
Man, social media is so powerful.
Right.
I always ask the same thing every time. Yeah.
They can post a picture of us after the fact that we played, and a tiny little positive message of how we brought a good time to them, and thank you so much. Like, that's all. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Now sometimes you'll have people that are venues who are critics and how the show was. I wish they would have did this a little better, whatever. Some stuff like that. Not really venues, but I'd say like more so like weddings and stuff like that. But like, you can't be perfect all the time, right?
No.
But it's just,
well, you can. People like me can.
Have you ever had a conversation about of oversaturation and how you manage that, or those 100%. Thoughts? What do y'all think?
When you say oversaturation?
Meaning you're just too much, and at that point you're not pulling what you think you might be able to pull because you're everywhere all the time? Or do you not feel that way? Do you feel that's a real concern, not a concern? How do you manage that?
I mean, I think we played a gig last year a couple different times, and I was like, man, this just isn't the right venue for us. But I would think of bands like Be Easy would be a great venue for, or like Let's Ride. Or, you know, maybe it was more R&B heavy or had that feel to it. And there again, I've had other ones where I'm like, man, this is totally a Vox crowd. This is like a 1970s.
It's funny you say that.
Everybody's 60 plus, and they want to hear nothing but New Orleans and, you know, and 70s soft rock.
We played a gig at the Ponte Vedra, some plantation or whatever, concert hall.
That too.
Or that one, that was awkward. We felt like he just said, like, Chris Thomas would have been way better for this gig.
Yeah.
You know, they saw something at some point during one of our shows that they came to that they thought would have matched perfectly for this event. And then when we get there and it's just like, we bring a little bit of, you know, something other than what they're, because, you know, you get people asking for Frank Sinatra. I'm like, I can sing maybe like a handful of songs of Frank Sinatra, but I got this guy I can call right now and he could be here, like, and do this gig for you guys.
So do you ever feel, is oversaturation a concern?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So tell me about
so
that.
So the supply and demand, like, and this is from like a buyer perspective, and in the original music world, a band doesn't play a market more than maybe 3-4 times a year. I mean, on a small scale, like when you're playing clubs. So you think you've got one a quarter that you're good for. Local bands and cover bands, it's a much different scenario. But what our goal has been as a company with booking music across the city is to diversify the music scene on each given night. We have enough talent, we have enough, you know, attendees, we have everything in place to create a proper, you know, supply and demand of certain types of music across the city. So, you know, just with the band Be Easy, for example, I try not to book, you know, more than, like, let's just say 1 gig a month at the beach. We recognize those markets within the city as each individual neighborhood. So we keep our demand high, which is, you know, where we're able to keep our rates up. The guys have to work less for that same amount of money. And that's kind of, I think should be everyone's goal, because then the bars, everyone's winning at that point. The music scene stays diverse. There's enough, you know, diverse talent in each neighborhood coming around that you might not see the same guy at that bar once a week, because that's how you dilute a scene as a whole, and not just and it kind of just will ruin people's view of you know, that music scene as a whole, because they're gonna get sick of hearing the same thing. So what we've been trying to do, and I've been trying to encourage a lot of the bands, is like, just take a different approach of how you go about booking your gigs. Be strategic. I know it's money and people are throwing money at you, but you're going to make way more if you can be more strategic on how you place yourself around Jacksonville, or even, you know, around the nation at that point.
We just played Iggy's, you know, Chillington Creek for the first time, and we were like, I don't know, man.
That's where I grew up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I don't know, and then I was like, wait a minute. We got people out there. That's cool, and we finally get to go to them. They don't have to come all the way out to Ponte Vedra. Right. So, and it was slammed for that reason. We were able to go to them, and Niko's spot on with that. You know, if you can hit, that's again the blessing about being in your own county, because we're so massive. You can go all over the place. Yeah.
Niko, I'm going to start with you. We're going to start wrapping it up here. But Niko, I'd like for you to sort of tell me about real-time management, who you represent, what do you do, how do we reach you, what do you want to, any other comments, anything I didn't ask you that you want to comment on?
Sure. So yeah, real-time entertainment and management, ourteam.net. So we have a few different things that we do, but primarily artist management. So we work with the Honey Hounds as well as the band Be Easy. And then we do provide talent buying services for corporations, for their events, for weddings, for bars and restaurants, for governments, colleges. Really, we've done it all. Essentially, people just reach out to us. They tell us, hey, this is the budget, the date, the kind of music that we're looking for, and we help make sure that we source that, and we do it from A to Z. You know, we go through the contracting, the negotiation of, you know, all the production specs, hospitality, and then we execute on site. We have, you know, a team in place that makes sure that once the artist, if it's a national artist, is there to play at your event or your festival, you know, we make sure that they're getting picked up from the airport. We're taking care of all the hospitality, the you know, hotels, ground transportation. We're really kind of a one-stop shop when it comes to booking music.
You didn't mention Side Reel.
Well, you know, Side Reel was a long-time passion of mine, and that's what got me to where I am today. And last year we did our 10-year anniversary show at what, you know, was Freebird as Surfers, because that's where we started. And that's where I got my start. You know, 11 years ago now. My brother and I started Sidereal when we were in high school. Built a great following here locally. We're able to start, selling out venues like Freebird and playing a lot of these larger clubs, and started touring the nation. Put albums out. We played with every, reggae band there is, from Sublime to Slightly Stupid and this was all stuff that we were doing in college, and throughout kind of our kind of like early and late, early 20s and late teens. And at some point we just saw that it wasn't going to be something that my brother was going to be most passionate about, and he's pursued his dreams of music production in Los Angeles, working with major labels and kind of doing his own route in the music industry. And I've always been a drummer, I always will be, and I love playing drums, but I saw a more sustainable route on the management side, because that's how I got into management, was managing Sidereal, booking all the shows, booking the tours, managing the social media. So it gave me like a full experience of doing that for full time for 6 years, while I was going to school full time, working full time, and really just figuring out that I don't want to go back to these crappy restaurant jobs. I want to be able to do something within music, and that eventually pushed me into this management and buying side of things.
Aaron, so obviously we call Niko if we want to book you, but right?
He's a very, very awesome person to have on your side for sure in that matter.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
Anything we didn't ask you? What do you like to do when you're not, other than garden over at Niko's house?
Well, I have a house of my own too. I garden at.
Sharing garden tips.
But I played a lot of sports, right? So I'm baseball, basketball, football. I'm very active in that sense. So I like to keep it moving a little bit and running and things like that, and trying to work out as much as I can. Now this like we said earlier, like the whole COVID thing, once it happened, I did eat a lot of cake and packed down some daddy weight, that's for sure. Yes. So I'm trying to fill out a little bit, but just I spending a lot of time with my family, my daughter. Funny story, actually. It's not funny at all. My daughter just broke her leg on a trampoline. Right? That's not funny at all.
Yeah, that's not the funny part.
The funny part about it is she took it so well. Like she didn't. It was a clean break, right? Clean break, like just snapped. Right?
The X-ray.
Totally.
Looks
yeah. The X-ray was like, right? But she didn't cry one time, dude. She's the toughest thing ever, like I've ever seen. She's 4 years old. She'll be 5 in August. Didn't cry one time. We get in the car, I swear her leg's like dangling, like just doing this weird thing, right? We get in the car, I take her to the hospital, and we get there, and she's still like, Daddy, I'm fine. Dad, I'm fine. Like, meanwhile, like I realized how like sick that kind of thing makes me even more. And I thought I was like totally fine with that kind of stuff. But we get to the hospital, and she goes, hey, so if we go to this emergency room, what kind of breakfast do they have over there in the mornings? And I'm like, girl, are you serious right now? Like just these moments, that we were talking about having, and like there was a chance, it was a weekend, like there was a chance I could have been at work, right? And totally just not been there for these kind of things. So really these experiences that I never thought that I'd never wanted to have, really just hurting yourself at all. But like stuff like that, I was able to be there. Drove her to the hospital. I was down 95, 100 miles an hour. Sorry. But like, yeah, that stuff, like just being there with your family and spending time, like quality time, and seeing that kind of stuff happen, just, you just take it for a grain of salt. But it's just like, just really that, just spending as much time with your loved ones and just living life the best you can to the fullest.
Chris, we didn't talk about Sarah, but obviously that's who we're supposed to talk to when we want to, if people want to book y'all and get a hold of you and all of that, right? So let's talk about how people can reach out to you. Anything else you want to share about y'all? And
just Sarah Lee, as you mentioned, she's the master as far as Chris Thomas Band goes. So yeah, if you want to book us for anything, that's who you would contact, and it's just christhomasband.com, and that's the quickest way, or her phone number. It's all there. Moving forward, just look for us to be, continue to be creative with what we're doing with these gigs, and trying to just expand on that. And I don't know, we've talked about maybe trying to bring the live stream shows back again, not anytime soon, but if we continue to go in a pattern maybe that we're going, we might do that again, just to be able to support again the other musicians and that and the other. We're very present with the fact that, there has to be as many musical acts that are out there in our community to be able to support them and then get the support back for our community to thrive. If we're looking at ourselves as an island, then, we'll be as such. So that and, man, our big band shows are a go. We have one scheduled this Wednesday, but the rain killed it. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be back next Wednesday. And to everybody who's supporting those and selling those out, we appreciate you guys because it's a lot of people to feed on that night. So I think that's it, man. And just thanks for the opportunity of hanging out with these guys and with you and chatting.
Great chat.
Yeah, it was great.
Well,
cool.
Niko, Chris, Aaron, I have a lot of respect for y'all. I find the entertainment just awesome that y'all happen to be right here in our city. I thoroughly, genuinely, and anyone that knows me, if we talk about this, knows how much I enjoy when,
thank you, man.
Being out in the audience when y'all perform. Thanks. You're extremely talented. I think y'all are awesome. Glad you're here. Wish you the very best. I keep telling people in this same sort of world and industry, we just got to keep our businesses alive during this time because our community and our world needs us. We got to hang in there. Not easy, but y'all seem to be weathering it pretty good, but it's a tough world that we live in. So y'all just hang in there, and we're all going to get together again, and we're slowly doing it. Yeah. But there'll be huge audiences again, and it's coming, and we all know it's coming. But it's just tough because we got to live the world we're in right now. But thank you so much for talking with us.
Oh, thank
this
you.
was fun. I enjoyed it. Y'all were on the very first when we were going to start doing the podcast. I mean, y'all were definitely on the list going back 4 weeks ago.
Oh, thanks.
That I wanted to have and see if y'all would come in. So thank you very much.
Hey,
and this is
know how we feel. I mean, we wouldn't be in our position without you either, just the same. So shout out to PRI, everybody in PRI. I mean, we are very grateful.
Well, I like the way you think, but I don't think that way.
Hey, I mean,
we'll just say right now, if you didn't have your voice, it really wouldn't have mattered.
Well, we knew once we got that call from you guys, we were like, all right, we're on to something here. Let's keep at it.
That's so true, though, man. When you get that, when you get that first call from
PRI or an email that says PRI pops up, I'm like, oh,
you're all cool and calm. You're like, yeah, okay,
I appreciate the comment.
You hang up the phone.
You can shut your laptop down real quick. I'm jumping around. Yeah.
I don't even do cartwheels, man. I did a cartwheel.
So you are much appreciated, sir. Everyone in the staff, all of you at PRI holding it down through these tough times. You have all of our respect. Seriously,
y'all don't need me. And if there was no PRI, somebody else would have called you. Y'all are awesome. Thank you again. This has been Beyond the Bold. Thank you for listening in, and we look forward to our next podcast.
Beyond the Bold is produced by PRI Productions, engineered by Alex Chapman, produced and edited by Leah Adams, Russell Pettibone, and Melissa Alexander. Our web and video team is Matt Oystacher and Adam Madrid. To learn more about what we do, visit priproductions.com and make sure to come with us next time when we go Beyond the Bold.